it's your boy Tanner Wideman of BarbarianBody, and today's question was, what's the best cardio for burning body fat while you're simultaneously trying to build lean muscle mass? Let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing that you want to think about when it comes to this type of training is, listen, when you're doing cardio, it's for about 1 hour, okay? There's still a whole 23 hours of the day that are going to be responsible for pretty much all of the calories that are burned throughout the day. So when we're thinking about cardio, let's not just worry about this 1 hour period where you're trying to burn as much energy or as many calories or as much fat as you can in this little portion right here. And let's think about picking cardio that's gonna stimulate and affect the next 23 hours, because that's a huge time span compared to that 1 hour little workout window, that is gonna stimulate an increase in your metabolism. So we're gonna boost metabolism and help you burn more calories and burn more energy through that time period. So the only way that you can do this is by performing high intensity workouts. Now let me explain to you why this is so. So when you're performing those high intensity type of workouts explosively, right? Your heart rate got to 75, 85% of its max, you broke down muscle fibers and stuff. Those next 23 hours, so that actually those next 24 to actually even up to 48 hours, your body is in a state of recovery. It's repairing all the muscle, it's repairing all this tissue that was broken down. It's bringing in all the supplements, the body is pumping all this oxygenated blood through itself in order to recover from the workout that you had, that intensity. When your body's in a state of recovery, that's when your metabolic rate boosts, because your body's gonna need to start burning more energy to start repairing all this tissue, as opposed to if you did a low intensity workout, like a low intensity, steady state type of cardio workout. Like, let's say you go on the treadmill and you're just jogging it out lightly. Like, I'm talking like really, really light, like I think most bodybuilders type of do. But when you do these little workouts, it's not that physically demanding. Your body doesn't need to be going into this hugely long and like drawn out recovery process. Thus, after your hour-long workout, there's gonna be no need to continuously burn more calories throughout the day. When you do these little 15 to 30 minute high intensity workouts, like that's just depleted so much from your body. So that whole next 24 to 48 hours, burning a lot more calories. Examples of these could be sprint training. Sprint training is a great example of this as well. Doing intervals of sprints. So you're doing, you do like a 200-meter sprint, or you're doing sprinting for 20 seconds, then you recover for 30 or 40 seconds, then you do another one. Okay, another good example of this one, and this is one that I did all the time when I played football, running hills, okay? So that's when you just sprint up to the top of the hill and then you run back down. Catch your breath, and then you sprint up, and then you sprint back down, okay? When we did it, it was you'd start and you'd get 10 on the first one, and then after you got 10 up, and then 10 down also, then you take your rest for about 60 seconds. And then you get 9, and then you rest, and then you get 8, progressively like that. So you're doing intervals of like high intensity. Another good example of this is HIIT workouts. Okay? If you guys wonder why I post so many HIIT workouts, it's because it's so physically demanding. It gets your heart rate up to that 75 to 85% of the heart rate max, and also because it's just so, like the amount of recovery that's required afterwards, which is going to boost your metabolism, is like off of the charts. Okay? Another good example of this is plyometric training. I love plyometric training, and I know I haven't really introduced it too much onto this channel. I do plan on getting into that. Plyometric training is essentially, it's just jump training. Whether that be jumping down from a distance and then you're trying to explode as quickly as you can as soon as you land, or you're just trying to get, onto a box, off to a box for as many repetitions in as short of a time as possible. It's about going as explosively as you can, okay? The jumping aspect, getting as high as you can, okay? Jumping as high as you can, or jumping as explosively as you can, or as fast as you can, or jumping as far as you can. This is another great example of these high intensity workouts that is going to allow you to get to the point where you're able to, for the next 23 hours after your workout, boost your metabolism, so you're burning a lot of fat in this 23-hour period as opposed to just focusing on that 1 hour period. Now I want to also get into this. When you're doing these high intensity workouts, guess what? They're always stimulating more muscular growth, okay? Have you seen, I'm gonna use a common example, okay? We've all heard it, but like, let's honestly look at it. A sprinter compared to like a long distance runner. Long distance runners, those guys for the most part are tiny, like twig-like. Sprinters, they're jacked because they're using so much muscle fiber. When you're sprinting, when you're trying to go as explosively as you can, for one, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, those things are being fired so rapidly and so explosively, you're obviously gonna be building muscle there. But not to mention your core is involved so much too, as you're doing your running motion, and then obviously you're gonna have a little bit of an impact on the upper body as well too, so it's stimulating a lot of muscular growth. And then it's not just examples like this. When I mentioned that you could do weightlifting, okay, and you get your heart rate up to like 75, 85% of your max, You're burning a ton of calories, okay? You're obviously recruiting a ton of muscle fiber, so you're gonna be building muscle from the workout because you're breaking down the muscle fiber, and then obviously when you refeed yourself, then you're gonna be building it back up. So you're building muscle there too. But at that point, you're gonna need all that long recovery process, and you're gonna be able to still burn a ton of calories afterwards too. The jump training is a terrific example of you still being able to build a ton of lean muscle mass, especially in your legs, because when you're doing that explosively jumping as fast as you can, as suddenly as you hit the ground as you possibly can, you're stimulating a lot of muscular demand in the lower body, in the quads, the glutes, and the hamstrings, and the calves, like I've mentioned, and it will require the body to bring in those nutrients to build stronger and more muscular muscle tissue, okay? And you're also gonna be burning like a ton of calories as well. So when you're doing these types of high intensity workouts, you're gonna be stimulating more muscular growth, and you're also not gonna be robbing yourself of all this muscle. Now, if you're not down to go out there and go do sprints, whether it be on a treadmill or on the field, or you don't want to do the hills like I mentioned, or do any of that stuff, or the plyometrics, aka the jump training, then you can do my personal favorite method when you just go to the weight room. I know that all of you guys are lifting weights, so I'm going to tell you the best method you can do this without having to spend any more time in the gym. Actually, it's going to minimize the amount of time that you have to be in the gym. My personal favorite method, superset. Perform one exercise, okay, and then directly after, no rest, perform another one. When you start to do this, okay, you're bringing your heart rate up a lot higher than you normally would when you're just performing one exercise and then rest and then do another exercise. Because for the most part, when you're just performing your regular sets of any type of exercise, your heart rate's gonna get pretty high. But when you stack another exercise on top of it, your heart rate's gonna have to continuously elevate for that period of time. Meaning you're gonna be more likely to get to that 75 to 85% of your heart rate max, if not even higher in that period. And the recovery process after the workout, because it's gonna demand so much out of your, not just your muscle tissue, but your cardiovascular system as well, the recovery process is gonna be more arduous and more demanding than it has ever been. Meaning, when you're in those 24 to 48 hour periods of recovery, you're gonna be able to burn more calories because there's more of a demand to recover all these muscle tissues, because the workout was so intense. So when you start applying these supersets, they just demand so much out of you, and you're able to burn so many more calories post-workout for that 23 hours of the day, rather than just focusing on that 1 hour of the day. And it is honestly so satisfying. When you leave the gym covered in sweat, body's absolutely destroyed, nothing more satisfying, and not to mention the amount of results you get from that too. Now, if you're just a beginner, what I recommend you do is start super simply with the supersets, okay? Put one exercise and another exercise together. Don't put big time muscle groups together. You know, for your first exercise, the superset, don't go ahead and just go do a bench press and then right after go do an incline bench press with no rest. That's too demanding. It demands a lot of muscle groups to go ahead and perform both of those movements. Do a big compound movement to begin, and then follow it up with an isometric exercise. So if you're doing the chest, like I was just mentioning for that example, do your bench press first, and then maybe follow up with some chest flies. That way, you're not gonna have to demand too much out of yourself, and then the next day comes and you're not totally obliterated. Start small, work your way up. Even at this point now, I don't really put two compound exercises together if I'm gonna superset them. I try and keep it compound exercise first, follow it up with an isometric exercise just to totally obliterate the muscle group that I'm targeting. So I've got a video, and I'll include it right here, and I'll include a link down in the description as well, of the power of supersets and all these superset ideas, because I got a bunch of different supersets that I personally use and I execute in my workouts all the time. So if you guys need to, you can steal some ideas from there, and trust me, absolutely killer. And that is really going to help you boost that metabolism for those next 23 hours in the day, as opposed to just focusing on that 1 hour window every single day. So there you guys go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions or any questions about any of your fitness or nutrition related type of, anything that you guys have a question about, fitness or nutrition related, hit me up down in the comments below. Ask me, because your guys' comments often get turned into some really great videos that do really well on the channel, because I guess a lot of people are interested in them. Sometimes I can't come up with these ideas all on my own, so it does help when I get your guys' input. And I also feel that I'm able to help you guys on a much deeper level. If you guys enjoyed the video, and as I said, be sure to give your boy a like down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you will not want to miss. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you in the next video.